Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again tonight with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. We had game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight, back in Boston, a finals game there for the first time in like 13, 14 years, and you could tell the crowd was going nuts. It was electric energy in that building, and the Celtics really seemed to feed off of it very early on. In the first quarter, Jaylen Brown went for 17 points. Off the bat, he was incredible. Currently my leading pick for Finals MVP. Jason Tatum had a really good game. Marcus Smart threw in a great game of his own. The Warriors tried to storm back in this one in the third quarter, but ultimately the Celtics were just way too much tonight. Despite some good performances from Curry and Clay, it wasn't enough. The Celtics just an incredibly dominant performance from their big three as well as the role players. They win this one 116-100, holding the Warriors to just 11 points in that fourth quarter. It was an incredible performance from this team, bouncing back. They haven't lost in the playoffs yet back to back. The streak continues. This is just a team that has been so good. They've lost back to back one time since like February or late January. They really just don't lose twice in a row. Once they lose to you once, they kind of figure out what they did wrong. They flip things around, and they were just incredible. The game plan that they had going into this, their defense, offense. Let's talk about it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy. Really helps out the channel, and a lot of y'all who do watch these videos are not subscribed. So make sure to drop that subscribe. Helps me out a ton. Like I mentioned, the big three for the Celtics were really the key to this win. Tatum, Brown, Smart. Brown, for me, like I mentioned, is probably my front runner right now for Finals MVP. He had 27 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. He was efficient, dominating, really set the tone early. And then defensively, he was locked down, chase down blocks, hustle plays. Really, this whole Celtics team was hustling, way out hustling the Warriors tonight. But Jaylen Brown was really the key to this whole thing. Clutch steals, just altering shots whenever someone attacked him, locking down, playing great defense on Steph Curry on a number of occasions, especially late in this game. Steph Curry had a really good night, but once again, kind of a quiet fourth quarter, and that was in large part due to the defense of Brown as well as Marcus Smart on him. They both just gave him a really tough time, but Jaylen Brown, in my opinion, was the best player on both teams tonight. The way that he locked in on both ends of the ball really set the tone. He's someone who has been really inconsistent over the course of these playoffs, but so far in the finals, he has been absolutely incredible. Marcus Smart, like I mentioned, some phenomenal defense as well, to go with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. To me, Marcus Smart is probably the key to this series for Boston. If he's knocking down shots, it's hard to beat them. You really can't beat them when Smart puts up over 20 points, because you're probably going to get 20 plus from Tatum and Brown. You add in 20 from Smart, and they're already creeping up to 60 points just between the three of those guys. Smart, hustle plays, just continuing to dive for loose balls. It felt like every 50-50 ball, he was on the floor, he was hustling. There would be a play where like the ball went out of bounds and he'd be like hurrying it up to try and get into the offense and catch the Warriors sleeping, which the Celtics did a number of times. So great, obviously great game from him. And then Jason Tatum, while he continues to kind of struggle to score efficiently, it does kind of look like that shoulder might still be bothering him from the Heat series. After one of the early plays in this game, he was grabbing it. And just he has a couple shots that kind of look off, like it just doesn't look as fluid. His shooting motion and some layups end up kind of short, but even still, he had 26, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists, and those assists are huge. He had 13 in the Game 1 win as well. His playmaking has just been ridiculous in these finals. The Warriors throw a lot of different defensive looks at him. They try to zone multiple times over the course of this game, and part of the reason why the Celtics were able to push through those different defensive looks is the playmaking and the ability to read that of Jason Tatum. He's just gotten so good at telling what the defense wants him to do, what they're trying to make him do, and finding alternate routes to execute the way the Celtics want to play. Just incredible performance from him, continuing to be great playmaking wise, and of course, like I said, adding 26 points. Even if they're a bit inefficient, it's still 26 points in a finals game. And then, of course, the other guys, Al Horford, 11, 8, and 6. He was really good tonight. And then Robert Williams, in my opinion, he's so underrated, and I hope people are realizing when they're watching him on this final stage how good he is. But every single minute, he was only in this game for 26 minutes, and he might have impacted this game more than anyone in those 26 minutes that he was in the game. Offensive rebounds, they just killed the Warriors in this game on the offensive glass, and Robert Williams was such a big part in that. It felt like every time the shot went up, he was immediately finding a path to the basket regardless of who was trying to box him out. The Celtics really took advantage of the size mismatch in this one, and Robert Williams, a few blocks, a few steals, 8 points, 10 rebounds, a lot of those offensive. He was just such a monster, altering shots defensively, forcing the Warriors to settle for tougher shots than rather than just drive to the basket, shoot middies or floaters or just avoid the paint altogether. He was so dominant in this game. He caught a lob from Al Horford at the end, which was fun. Just an incredible performance from a guy who is really only on like one good leg. He's been dealing with that knee injury a lot. He hardly even played last game because it was bugging him so much. Also due to the blowout, just a little bit. But Robert Williams continues to be such an impactful player in every possession that he's in. He is one of those guys that goes so unheralded. And I hope now that it's on like the final stage, people are realizing, because he dominated this game every single minute he was on the court. He's one of the biggest reasons why the Warriors weren't able to come back and only scored 11 in that fourth quarter. His defensive presence alongside Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Al Horford, Grant Williams had a pretty good game too with 10 points, and he was playing great defense. Derek White continues to be really good. Just the number one defense in the league showed up in this game. They were aggressive, they were physical, which is exactly how they won game one. In the third and fourth quarters, or like end of third quarter, start of the fourth, the Celtics got really aggressive defensively. They got physical, and they ended up winning that game because they tired out the Warriors. It's what the Cavs did in 2016. They bumped Curry running off of screens. They got really physical and out hustled on a lot of those loose balls, and they just tired the Warriors out, and that's how they came back and won that series. That's exactly what the Celtics did in game one, and game two, it felt like they kind of lost some of that fire, some of that hustle, a lot of that physicality. The Warriors really took it to them with Draymond like spearing guys on the court and stuff like that. But in this game, the Celtics really locked back in, got way more physical like they were in game one, and to me, that's one of the biggest keys to them winning this series is that physicality. You are the number one defense in the league. Play like it. Be physical. If the Warriors are going to be physical and you're not going to get those calls like they were complaining about last game, just do the same thing. Because if they're not calling it for them, they probably won't call it for you. And that's exactly what happened. The Celtics matched their physicality perfectly, forced them to really work for everything that they got, and ultimately came out with the win in this one. It was huge for the Celtics, forcing a lot of turnovers too. Just a really big win for Boston, going up 2-1. And now the Warriors have another road game where they could potentially go down 3-1. Next game is a must win for the Golden State Warriors, making this such a big win for Boston. And then on the Warriors side of things, like I said, Steph Curry, really good. He's been having an amazing finals. He put up 31, 4, and 2. Sure, people are going to talk about how he didn't score much in the fourth quarter, but really that was more of a symptom of the whole team than him. They just really locked in defensively, and Curry kind of was carrying them a lot offensively through those first three quarters. Clay had a bounce back game. He had 25, 3, and 3. Wiggins had 18, 7, and 2, and played some really solid defense. Draymond has to be better. Draymond, to me, is one of the biggest reasons why they lost this game. He was fine defensively, but it felt like there were a lot of plays where the Celtics kind of like went at him. Like there's one play I can remember where he kind of like blocked Jaylen Brown. It was a questionable, did he foul him, did he not? And Draymond got up in his face and started talking, and Jaylen Brown, as soon as they got the ball inbounded, went right at him and hit the layup over him. It felt like at some times they were attacking him, and I understand playing him at a small ball center, but he really just does not have the size, especially when you've got Al Horford and Robert Williams out there, or Rob and Grant Williams. He doesn't have the size to play that center. He just really doesn't. And so he's kind of getting abused down there, trying to guard down low. I think there was one play where Rob Williams just like grabbed the rebound right over him. There's not much he could do. And he scored 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He fouled out in this one. some really bad fouls, continuing to argue with the ref and stuff like that. Just, he's got to be better. He has to be better than this if the Warriors want to win. Jordan Poole, he's also got to be better. He had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, kind of got targeted defensively. Really, the Warriors as a whole had such a big problem this game with point of attack defense. It felt like they were just kind of letting them walk into the paint. And part of that, I think, is that they really don't have that rim protector. Not having that rim protector or that size is really coming back to bite them against Boston, because they've got these two really athletic, really mobile bigs, as well as Grant Williams at the 4, who can kind of move around and give you a lot of problems. If you try to attack the rim, they're going to step up. They're able to move between the perimeter and the rim pretty quickly. They've got a really good team defense. And the Warriors, like, they're getting blown past, and there's no one there at the rim to stop them. Like, Marcus Smart took Andrew Wiggins off the dribble and just like went right up into his chest and put it up and over in for a layup, and there's just no one else there to help. It's just him, because the Celtics space the floor and there's no real rim protector on the Warriors. Kevon Looney, to me, it felt like he should have gotten more run in this game. He only played 17 minutes, and really in that fourth quarter, the Celtics were abusing them with size, and Kevon Looney really just didn't see the court. When Draymond fouled out, Steve Kerr put in Andre Iguodala at the center, which just felt weird. Like, it felt like he was just sticking with small ball to stick with it, to try and like be like, oh, look, like this will work eventually, and it never did. It worked at points during the game, but in the fourth quarter, it really felt like they needed that size. They needed, even if he's not like a Robert Williams or an Al Horford, Kevon Looney's pretty good, and he gives you someone who has a little bit more size, a little more physicality, which it felt like maybe they needed tonight. Otto Porter Jr. had 6 points off the bench. Gary Payton had 2. Bjelica played 3 minutes and scored 0 points. Steph Curry did at the end of the game. Al Horford fell on his leg diving for a loose ball, and he seemed kind of shaken up by that. Hopefully, it's nothing serious. I don't think it was. But if Steph's not 100%, then this series is pretty much over. And it's already not looking great for the Golden State Warriors. They need Draymond to be better. They've got to shore it up defensively, because they were just getting killed. They've got to figure out what to do about the Celtics bigs. It's not like they can go out and sign another center. They've got to figure out how to be better as a team defensively, especially on rebounds. I think it was Mark Jackson, or maybe, I think it was Mark Jackson. But he was talking about on the broadcast, he was like, it's clear how, part of the reason why the Celtics get so many rebounds isn't just because Al Horford and Robert Williams and Grant Williams are diving in there on shot attempts. They're also, it's like a team effort. Everyone is trying to battle with guys, box each other out. And the Warriors, it felt like they just kept falling asleep on both defensive and offensive rebound opportunities. They weren't chasing them. They weren't doing team rebounding like the Celtics were. And it really just kind of felt like the Celtics I hate this term. I hate this saying. They felt like they wanted it more. Like, that doesn't really make sense, because both teams want to win the finals. They were out hustling them, is really kind of what it comes down to. They were physical, they out hustled, and they just kind of wanted this game more. So those are some of my thoughts on the game. Those are my biggest takeaways. The Warriors got to figure things out. To me, this was a huge game for them. It was a lot bigger for the Warriors, in my opinion, than the Celtics. If you go up 2-1 on the road, it's no big deal. You took one of the games in the opposing team stadium, you're okay. But now they've got the threat of going down 3-1, and there's only one guy who came back from down 3-1 in the finals, and they don't have him, and they were on the wrong side of that. So I don't think they want to go down 3-1 in that position. So those are my thoughts on the finals through game 3. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What were your biggest takeaways? If you made it to this point in the video, drop a Rob Williams is elite in the comment section below to let me know you made it to the end and show the big guys some love. But for right now, that's all I've got for you. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.